Welcome to Wine, Women, and Wealth, Pueblo County. I am Brandy Tafoya. I am a regional leader with Five Rings Financial, and today we are going to be introducing Jocelyn Martinez. She is one of our sponsors for the Wine, Women, and Wealth this month, July 26th. It'll be held at the Jidone Library at 6 p.m. So feel free to RSVP for that if you would like to meet her in person and also learn some more interesting things during that event. And without further ado.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be here. I'm Jocelyn Martinez. I am the owner and founder of Soul Smile Health and Wellness. We are a food-based company here in Pueblo, Colorado that really focuses around healthy eating in a sustainable way. We focus on gluten-free, dairy-free lifestyles as well as vegan lifestyles, but really we're just here to provide healthy meals for people in our community. We also do catering. I'm a traveling chef and I'm a certified health coach, so everything I do is really based around health in some shape or form, and really our company is about showing healthy food.
So what got you into the nutritional aspect of things?
I got into health coaching first really because I was in corporate America. I was kind of looking for healthy living, and I was always really into health, and so I started looking into health coaching, and I really liked what all of that has to offer. And so during my corporate job, I started doing health coaching as well. But then through my own health journey at that time, I was really sick. We couldn't really figure out what was going on with my health at the time. And so it all kind of coincided together. I really wanted to heal myself first, but then share that with others. And so that's how I created this business. Was I had to change the way I was eating, what I deemed was healthy, what was healthy for me, and really navigating that journey it could be difficult, it could be stressful, and I wanted to support and help others during that time.
And how long ago did all of that start?
So I started my health coaching in 2018. So, and then 2020 I opened health sorry, I'm like, whoa.
That's okay.
I started my meal prep program and our food side of the program, but 2018 is when this journey kind of began.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then what was it specifically that happened? I know a little bit more from background, but for those of you who don't know.
So at the time I was working a corporate busy job. I was probably way more stressed out than I should have been. But I was probably not eating right. We all want to stay thin and all of these things in life, but sometimes those products can be catastrophic to your health as well. And a lot of those products carry wheat and things like that in them. And during this journey, I kind of found out that I was allergic to wheat, I was allergic to gluten, and a lot of other things. But it also really got worse and stemmed from nickel poisoning from a product from a very big company. So that's kind of really what started things really going downhill with my health, and no one could figure out what was going on with me. I was getting all these tests done, and really no one was listening when I was asking, could it be something I'm eating? Is it something in my diet? Am I allergic to something? And I just wasn't getting any answers until I went with the holistic approach and realized that really my health is up to me. I do have control over some of these aspects of my health and my health journey, and I knew that it had to do with food. If I'm putting cleaner things in my body, then my body can do what it needed to. And I found someone who could help me support that theory, and then I just tested it out. I followed, the plan. I changed the way I was eating and changed what I was putting in my body, alleviated stress as much as possible, and then it started to get better.
How long did it take for, how when you start working out, it generally takes you, a handful of weeks or a handful of months in order to feel a difference or see a difference or anything like that. And what was your experience with when you just overhauled your diet and how you felt?
It was kind of a long process for me. I had a lot of inflammation in my body. I had bacterial overgrowth. I had leaky gut. I had H. pylori, so there was a lot of things going in. My gut biome was just completely destroyed. So from 2008 until 2019 is really when I started to kind of feel like, oh, this is the way I'm supposed to live life. Like, this is the way my body's supposed to feel. So, but it was really about 6 months in. And that was chiropractic, that was changing my diet, that was cleaning up my gut, rebuilding my good bacteria. So it was like a long process. But yeah, it was about 6 months. But then after a year, it was like that's when I started really looking back and thinking, wow, was I really that sick? Like, I can't believe I lived that long, because I started getting really sick in 2016. So even by 2018, at that point, I was pretty inflamed, and there were some days I couldn't walk. I was having like epileptic seizures, and so it was a lot. So I was not in the best like starting point when I went in. So it did take me a little bit, but it was life changing. And really, what it came down to was what I was putting into my body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whew. I just think you get so used to that pain that like you start to get numb to it, because it's just a constant thing. And then, but not everybody knows like how to change. You know what I mean?
Or so how you feel. Like, oh, I didn't even realize I really felt that bad because I was so used to it. Yeah. You know, we can't always like treat our bodies the same way throughout our life. Like, it changes and it shifts as well. It's kind of like with kids when they say they don't like tomatoes or they don't like a food. It's like, well, keep trying it because your taste buds are going to change. Like, our body's always doing the same thing. So something that worked for you maybe 5 years ago, it may upset you now, or, you know, it may not work the same, or they're not growing it the same, or they're putting a chemical on there that you're allergic to. So it could be different, you know, as we age. That doesn't mean we have to live in pain as we age. It just means that we have to adjust and listen to our body. And I think we've just learned to not listen. We've been taught to decompartmentalize our body as if one doesn't have anything to do with the other, when it really does. If one thing isn't working correctly, well, the other organ isn't going to work correctly, and then you start having all these problems. So, you know,
that's a little bit scary.
Yeah, it is, but it's true. You know.
Yeah, I mean, everything is connected, and used to treating like one specific thing and then not taking into consideration like the whole. Yeah. The whole. Which is why I really enjoy learning about nutrition, because I'm just a nerd about it. So what type of like meal prep do you specialize in, or that you are really passionate about sharing?
Really just showing, I mean, gluten had such a stigma for so long that it was like, oh, you're gluten free, like no one's allergic to gluten, or, you know, oh, well, do you have celiacs, which was very specific. And it's like, no, but I am intolerant to gluten. So you can be intolerant to gluten and not have celiacs, but still have an issue. If you're intolerant to gluten, you keep eating it, you're going to end up with celiacs.
Oh, wow. Is that kind of like the pre-diabetes?
It kind of, yeah, like you'll be intolerant to it, so you shouldn't be eating it because your body doesn't know how to break it down. But there's a lot that has to do with like gluten and the way they're growing our wheat, and really, we may not be allergic to gluten. You may be able to go to another country and eat it perfectly fine, but the way that we grow our gluten, it doesn't recognize it as what it is anymore. It's been changed so much. And then it's sprayed with Roundup to make it grow, and then it's sprayed with Roundup to stop it from growing. So we're getting all these chemicals, all these never ever chemicals, and especially, I've said glyphosate maybe a couple of times, so I'll just explain what it is. So it's a chemical, it's a forever chemical. What it does when it's ingested is that your microbiome has all these little hairs in it, and that's what picks up with your nutrition and, you know, all these particles of food. And so what glyphosate does is it glues your hairs together like glue. Oh. So then it can't grab the other things. It can't do what it needs to do. Your microbiome is kind of all stuck together.
Gotcha.
So my passion is really showing people that gluten-free, going gluten-free in this day and age can really help with inflammation. It could by alleviating that from your diet, you can start to see some relief for inflammation. A lot of other things with gluten is when you eat it a lot, it can actually cause psychological issues. You can have headaches, you can have psychosis, like a lot of different things. So it doesn't just like affect your gut, but remember, your gut's your second brain, so they talk together.
Okay.
So I just really wanted to show people like this isn't a stigma. Like you can eat gluten free and still enjoy all the things that you love. Like I still make enchiladas, I still do pizza, I still do pasta. Like I'm just showing a different way by alleviating those and kind of showing people like you can eat this way and you will feel better, I promise.
Yes.
And so that's kind of, and then vegan, with all my vegan meals, I don't use any processed meats, I don't use any fake meats, no meat substitutes. I'll use organic tofu every now and then, but I really want to show people that you can eat whole foods, not Whole Foods the store. Whole foods.
Thanks for the disclaimer.
You can eat whole foods and still get a lot of nutrition. You can use it a lot of different ways. It's sustainable.
So I'm just picturing a bowl of like rice and chickpeas and carrots and celery and stuff like that.
No, we'll do everything you could think of. We do portobello steaks, we do Asian, we do enchiladas, we do lasagna, like anything you can think of that you can eat that isn't meat based, we change it into a plant-based form.
Oh.
So we do, eggplant steaks. We do a bunch of different, like vegetables, like, my favorite season's here. It's farming season. So September, there's tons of squash, and you can use those in a bunch of different ways. We use nuts. So we'll do like walnut meat, things like that is healthy for you, and it's not being made in a lab that we really truly don't know what it's doing to us yet.
And like squeeze through a machine into weird casings.
I mean, we'll just see in 2 years, what ends up happening from consuming all this processed chemicals. So yeah, I want to show people that there's a different way.
Well, I feel like that would be more filling too.
Yeah.
So how do you I know that there's like all kinds of these different diets and everything that people can do. How do you address those type of things?
Most weight I ever lost is when I started when I cut out gluten and dairy, and I started listening to my body, but I just started eating whole foods. Like I just started eating cleaner versions even, or better than nothing. Pay the extra money for the cleaner version if you can. If not, you could use vegetables and do all kinds of great things that's also cost effective. I just always say be very careful because they're all based for one person, one size, one everything. We're all unique people, so what's deemed healthy for one person may not be healthy for the other.
True, very true.
So like for me, before I really cut everything out, I was still eating really healthy, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't losing weight, why I was so puffy. I just could not figure it out, but it was me alleviating those. But I was eating Ezekiel bread every morning, avocado toast. I was eating Greek yogurt. I was eating fruit. I was eating all these things, but then I found out I was allergic to gluten and dairy. So it wasn't good for me.
Healthy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't healthy for me. So I always tell people, like, if you find something that looks clean and looks feasible, great. Don't try to push it longer than it says. There are 30-day plans for a reason. Sometimes we shouldn't eat that way for that long. And that's when you start getting in. It's not sustainable. I think if you stay eating as unprocessed as possible, eat good meats that aren't packed full of hormones and things like that, your body will know what to do with it. It's just with all of that stuff, it doesn't know what to do with it. So even if you're following a diet plan, you're eating incorrectly for you, it can still cause problems. And then you're going to get frustrated because you're not seeing results. You're working your butt off. You feel so hungry. Sometimes on these diets, and you're not getting the results, And I always say if you're not eating a lot of food, then that's just not sustainable. You should never feel like you're starving.
True, very true. So with your clients, do you have a sit down with them and then talk about what's going on? Like, are you having a hard time losing weight? Are you feeling lethargic? Like, do you go through like that sort
We
of thing?
do. There's a form that my clients have to fill out, and it goes over any allergies, like any foods that they can't eat or they just don't like to eat. I also tell them to be very open because you may learn that you actually like cauliflower. Maybe you just haven't like had it prepared a certain way, which can open up a bunch of different things. So there's a form that you need to fill out, and then if for some reason you go to my website, you have to book a service with me, and then you'll get emailed all the information with the form.
Okay.
Fill that out, and they could always say, hey, I would like to have a face-to-face with you instead of an email, and then we could go in depth if they have like a really in-depth diet plan, or God forbid they went to a doctor and got a diagnosis, but all they got was like a bunch of foods they couldn't eat and they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Then we can go in depth more of what they're looking for. But the good thing is with my meals, all of my meals, you're already alleviating gluten and dairy because I don't use those. Yeah, I don't use those in my meal prep at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is I guess what is your most challenging case like that you've had to tackle? Because like I think of the form and it's like I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this.
I have like a really soft space in my heart for our children and our elderly and the way they eat and the way we feed them, and I just think it's so great that we even have opportunities to give food and have like meal programs for these two groups of people, but I think we could do better. And so I always try to do that. And so the hardest clients I ever get are really like the older, like my elderly clients, like I'm talking like 70 and above.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a heart space for their family because usually it's like a son or a daughter or a grandchild or something that's like in their older age, making sure they're eating healthy, and then they're getting overwhelmed because they have to cook all the time, and so they'll reach out to me and say, hey, my dad has this, and this, and I really need them to eat healthy. And the hardest thing is they're very used to what they're eating. And as we age, our taste buds start to die off. The ones that are left are salt and sweet. So that's why mostly elderly people, like you'll see them like really salty things, or they always have like sweet stuff, and that's because that's what they can taste. It's just what they can taste. So it's really hard sometimes to hit those spots, and so I've tried quite a few, and I have some that are with me, and we've worked through his health problems where he couldn't swallow food very well, so I was giving him bone broth every week, and that really helped him and like helped his stomach, and we were able to really work with that. But that's like my hardest, because I would really love to just keep like feeding them, and then I kind of adjust to try to hit their palate more, and I try.
Yeah. Well, that is the main thing, and just having the heart to help is a huge deal. So why is being conscious of what you are eating so important?
Well,
we kind of touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but I mean, I think we forget how much control over our body we really have. And one of the biggest things that we have control over is what we're putting into our body. And it's important. I mean, if you look back at, what our ancestors ate, it's not what we eat anymore, or it's not grown the same. And so that's important. And you look at other countries and you see that they don't eat a lot of processed foods, and some of those countries are a lot healthier than we are, until they get introduced to the McDonald's and processed foods. And if you do the research, you could kind of see like what happens to health decline. And I think more people since, the pandemic have started to learn like, oh my gosh, like there wasn't like a pill for this, there wasn't a shot, there was no Z-Pack that's gonna fix all of this. It was literally go home, eat healthy, get rest, drink water. And it's like, well, isn't that the basics of life? We should eat healthy, we should get rest, we should drink water. We need all those things to live. So it's just so important for us to realize that all the gimmicks and all the things, and yeah, it's easy. It's way easier to go through fast food and, get the cheeseburger 3-4 times a week, but then when it starts affecting your health, because it will eventually, what's more important? It's like, especially here in Pueblo, we have so much agriculture, like right in our backyard, where all these farmers are really conscious of like how they're growing their food. They want to provide food for the community, but also these are the foods that grow in our region.
In our neighborhood.
Yeah, this is like for us that who live here, the climate, like all of that, the environment. We need certain vitamins, and that's why they grow here. So it's like we should be utilizing that. We should eat for the season. We do that for a reason. Our body changes, our metabolism slows down, or it speeds up, and so you should eat for the seasons too. But that's why we like comfort food when it's cold. Things like that. Like our body talks to us. Like we're all like, very functioning. It's just we've been taught to turn it off.
That's actually kind of interesting about like everything has a season. I think of like during the summer, you see a way more uptick in like your fruits. So like your high sugar like your sugary fruit. I mean, most fruits are sugar. And because during the summer is when you're the most active and you burn sugar like as energy first.
Just to be outside. It's so hot.
It is so hot today. It's 105 degrees.
But it's true,
Yeah.
And that's why in the summer it's like, I don't really feel like eating. Like I'm not really that hungry. And it's because our body's like, whoa, like what are we doing? So it's just important to listen. And I say that and people are like, I don't know how to listen. I'm like, I get it. I didn't know how to listen either, but listening is feeling when it comes to your body. So if you have a headache or your hip always hurts or your stomach always hurts, that's the communication. That's the communication of saying, like, am I dehydrated? What did I eat earlier that gave me a headache? Like that's like communication is feeling when it's with your body.
What kind of advice could you give us for like is there like a cool little like transition that we can do from each season like to then like get into our mindset of eating for the season? Like is that a bizarre question?
It isn't.
Okay.
No, because it's like, okay, so we have 4 seasons,
Some of us.
Well, some of us. Here in Pueblo, we have like 3, maybe, I guess. Yeah. But, we have our summer, spring, summer, fall, winter seasons. The best thing is you can start looking at what's in season. So our fruits and our vegetables will start changing during the season. And it's like, oh, okay, like it's like pumpkin season, right? Everyone's like pumpkin spice, all of this. Well, that's because it's harvesting. It's ready to consume, and that's what we should start eating. It's starting to get us ready for like heartier things. And then just, so that's like one thing, like when the nights start getting longer, is it longer? Yeah, shorter.
The nights are longer in the winter.
Yes, okay, thank you. So when the nights start getting longer and like it's like starts to change, you notice that you maybe want to eat later or you want to eat earlier, like you feel with the season. So if it's hotter, usually you want to eat fresher things that are easier to digest. You don't want like heavy foods in the summer.
Food,
exactly.
Watermelon.
Yes. Oh, I could eat a whole one all by myself.
Oh, me too. Oh, yes.
It's my favorite season. There's already watermelons at Muso's, you guys, just if you wanted to know.
Oh.
There's another plug. That's funny.
That's okay. We did say that we have farms around here.
There's so many, and they're starting to be bulked up with vegetables and things like that. Yes. So we're starting to get on to a new season here. So you're going to start seeing like some of those warmer foods, but also with those those watermelons and stuff like that. So like the end of August, August will be like watermelon season. You'll see a lot of melons. And then in September, you'll start seeing a lot of squash into October. So then, like, the vegetables will start changing, but also the temperature starts changing. So that's when you should start changing what you're eating. Like fall, winter, kind of those more comfort foods, and that's usually what you'll end up craving too. Like, I want mashed potatoes and I want chili beans and like that kind of stuff. But then as it starts getting hotter, you're going to start leaning towards more like sandwiches and salads and fruits and things like that. And that's really eating for the season. Like, your body will start to do it because we want to hibernate. That's what our body wants to do. So,
cool.
Yeah. And there's tons of different things out there too that you can find online that shows you, like, January, this is all the fruits and stuff that's in season. February, this is what's in season, and it's better on the pocketbook because those fruits are actually in season.
They're in abundance.
And they're not being grown in greenhouses and things like that. So it's better financially to eat for the season as well.
Where can people find you? Okay. And if you have any kind of events or anything going on, and tell us how we can help support you.
Awesome. Well, you can find me just by Googling Soul Smile Health and Wellness. All my information will come up. You could even just Google healthy meals or meal prep. I come up right away on Google. And then my website's on there, and that'll link straight up to my business page where you can see our monthly menus. You can schedule appointments for any of our services there as well. You can have a consult. You can sign up for meal prep. Events, we do all kinds of stuff all the time. But right now I would just say follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and we always have what events we're at throughout the year. We do small pop-ups where we pop up our food truck, so that's also something that if you watch us on social medias, you'll see our pop-up dates and when we're available. But yeah, and then you just never know where you might see us. But we try to make it super simple for people to get a hold of us. Right now, we just found out that we are nominated for Best Caterer, Best Gluten-Free Vegetarian Vegan. So nice. One good thing is it's free. You could go in and vote for us. But also, if you've ever had our food, or if you know me personally, you could go ahead and vote for us anytime. And if not, if you're interested in our food, you could come to one of our pop-ups, or you could always try out our meals and see if it works.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And again, she will be at our Wine Women and Wealth event on July 26th at the Jidone Library at 6 p.m. And she is actually sponsoring the food. So maybe she will treat us to some of her really awesome stuff. And we look forward to seeing you there. Feel free to RSVP. That'll be in the post. And I want to thank you very much for this interview and taking the time out of your day to do it.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited for next week.